If George Floyd's murderer is not sentenced, just know that all hell is going to break loose. Don't be surprised when buildings are on fire.
So I'm at the point right now where none of this really surprises me anymore. I'm used to seeing it. It's nothing new. But nonetheless, they're not kidding. I mean, I have no idea who that chick is, but I believe she means every word that she said. And not only that, I think she echoes the sentiment of so many people right now. And before I even get into it, I just want to say that I'm not emotionally invested in the outcome of this Derek Chauvin case. It's not a thing for me. But there are plenty of people who are emotionally invested. And when you are so emotionally invested in such a sensationalized story like this one, I mean, it's been a year and they're still talking about it, it clouds your judgment. And when you don't have judgment, you abandon all logic, reason, facts. When new information is introduced, you reject it or you try to downplay it. And that's what's happening in this situation, because without going too far into the weeds on this George Floyd, Derek Chauvin mess, new information has surfaced that goes against the grain of what the news and the media have been telling people for the last year. We know that they've been building this up and it's a powder keg. They're calling it systemic racism, and they've built this up to where if, for whatever reason, Derek Chauvin isn't prosecuted to the full extent of the law, it's because it's emblematic of America's deeper rooted systemic racism. And all that does is fan the flames of people who are already emotionally involved, people who are tied to this, people who believe the liars in the media. And because they fear no consequences, they can release videos like that where they are boldly demanding that the outcome go the way that they want it to, or they're going to enact more violence and destruction. That comes from somebody who doesn't fear consequences. I mean, think about it. Look at the two girls in Washington, D.C. just the other week. They murdered an immigrant Uber Eats driver on camera. And they just got a plea deal to where they're not going to do any prison time over it. I mean, it's just astounding to me. But again, I'm not surprised by this, because last summer, Kamala Harris helped to bail out some of these rioters. And these rioters torched mom and pop businesses, used car dealerships, random restaurants. And for what? Because of what took place in Minneapolis, which again is sad. It's unfortunate that it happened. It's unfortunate that the media took that and ran with it, used it as a wedge issue to continue driving a wedge between the races in this country, continue lying, continue using this Marxist agenda to call everything in America, including its founding, systemically racist. This is what they're doing, okay? If you see how the pawns on the chessboard are used, they're about to activate all of these rioters, BLM, Antifa, and I just feel for the businesses in these cities, whether it's Minneapolis, Kenosha, Chicago, LA, San Francisco, it really doesn't matter at this point. They'll riot anywhere, regardless of where the situation took place. Because of the internet, because a video will go viral in minutes. So if you happen to be one of these business owners, specifically in Minneapolis, I don't know why you rebuilt. If your business somehow survived the pandemic and the forced closure of that, only to be torched and burned down in the George Floyd riots, I don't know how you rebuilt or why you would even bother rebuilding. Because you ought to be able to look a few steps ahead and say, well, I don't know what's going to happen the next time there's one of these controversial shootings or arrests or whatever it is. If it's in front of my business, that means even if I'm allowed to stay open from the pandemic, and even if they spare my business because I put a Black Lives Matter sign outside, what kind of business am I going to have if the neighborhood is no longer safe? If they defund the police and torch the closest police precinct to my business, to my house, to my kid's school, why am I still living here? What am I going to do? Why would I bother trying to rebuild my business, try to reestablish myself in the community? Even though I have nothing to do with this case, I'm going to be a casualty. And if I'm allowed to stay open, what kind of business am I going to have? It's not safe. Are people just going to meander and walk through the streets and decide, hey, let's go get a bagel here? not when you have these autonomous zones set up being patrolled by gangs and drug dealers and cops aren't allowed in. This is what's happening right now. This is the current state of affairs in America when they don't fear consequences, when the media fans the flames, when the media props up and promotes false narratives to generate these selective emotional responses. And when new information comes out that contradicts the narrative, they bury it, they'll downplay it, they'll spin it. They're spin doctors. And for this chick, I don't know if she's part of BLM or what, but she believes what she said. They believe that if this trial doesn't go the way that they want it to go, they're going to go burn down cities, and they don't fear consequences. They're not going to be arrested. They're not going to face charges. If they do, they'll say, well, America's just systemically racist. So, I mean, if you're a business owner in Minneapolis, Chicago, any major city, you need to wake up. Wake up, migrate your business online. That's where it's at anyway. But as painful as it is to say, as harsh as it may sound, if you decide to stay stubbornly and your business gets torched in the process, I mean, I don't know what to tell you. I have no idea what to tell you, because this is what happens when you have, city councils who maybe you voted for them, maybe you didn't. City councils that want to defund the police, the rhetoric in the media that's anti-police. Don't get me wrong. I'm not some back the blue guy, because the police are there to enforce laws. They are law enforcement, which means that they're order takers. That's just what it is. So if there's a law or a decree or an executive order that says you have to have your business closed for whatever reason, guess what? The cops are coming to enforce it. So I'm not going to back the blue, because the blue doesn't back me, and it doesn't back you either. So don't get it twisted. I'm just saying that the rhetoric against police just demoralizes them. It just makes it harder for them to do their job, which is a tough job. They do fight crime. For those that are going to downvote because they think that I'm just big up in the police, they fight human trafficking. They break up drug deals. They stop rapes. You got to be able to see through this nonsense and understand that law, as a call's coming through, of course, while I'm trying to record a video, you got to understand that law enforcement is not on your side, but they're not there to hurt you either. They're policing crime. And when you have BLM and Antifa and politicians in the media going against law and order, you're going to have outcomes like this. You're going to have people making videos that are threatening to burn down businesses. When she made that video, she was talking about you, the business owner. She's talking about you that lives in the community. If the Derek Chauvin case doesn't go as she wants it to go, and other people, plenty of people, want it to go, they're coming for your business. That's just it. So I don't know what to say, but guys, definitely like this video, share it so more people see it. It's kind of crazy, but board your business up and just get ready, because the media is building this powder keg, and I'm afraid for what's going to happen. But again, it's not going to surprise me.